It's huge for clearing your mind and getting out of your own head. And it can really save lives. I really think it can.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the eSKATE Chat podcast. We're here with Jojo, one of our ambassadors out of San Diego or Oceanside, California. Mm-hmm. How you doing today?
Good. Happy to be here.
Cool. So we're here in the brand new showroom at Evolve HQ in Carlsbad. How's it been having an actual shop?
It's been amazing. It's been really fun having a place where everybody can come together, see the product, getting to talk with our customers one-on-one has been a really fun experience.
So before this, people could come to pick stuff up, but they couldn't actually just rock up anytime. Is that correct?
They could come up anytime to pick stuff up, but we didn't have a showroom where everything's displayed and everyone can come and can get your hands on things, which is, I think, the fun part.
How often do you find people are actually coming here now?
Some days we're like today, super busy. Where we'll have like 10 to 15 walk-ins, and then some days, we just have one or two people. But so it just kind of depends on the day.
And for anyone that is in the local area, you can just jump on the website, right, and actually book in for a demonstration and tell us what board you want to ride, and that way they have like a designated spot for.
Yeah, super easy. They can schedule a demo ride with us Monday through Friday.
What sort of skill abilities do you find you see the most of?
Beginner to intermediate, I'd say, for trying out boards. Most people have never stepped on an electric skateboard before, so that's why they're here.
Do you find there's a lot of GTR owners that have come in for the sole purpose of trying the Haitian?
Oh, yeah, totally. People come in, they've had their GT, their GTR, and they're like, I want to try this new thing that's out there, but I want to try it before I buy it. And then they get on it, and it's just like, it's so fun watching people ride that board for the first time. They freak out.
What's some of the key things that they're always saying, the key reactions to it?
Honestly, just the speed blows them away, I think. And the power. They just can't believe how much power it has.
I find a lot of people are focused on the power, right? Because that's the thing that you cannot miss. Mm-hmm. But that also almost overshines all the other details that they're going to pick up at a later date.
Yeah.
Some people focus on the deck because that's kind of obvious as well.
Yeah.
But I find a lot of people miss the remote the first time round, which is a huge difference. You just got to actually take a look at it and have a go through the menus and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I think that the really regular techie customers that we have, that's the first thing they want to see. I hand them the board and they're like, oh, I've been waiting to see this. And they just get so excited and they go through all the motions and check out the lights, and it's pretty cool. The remote is definitely an upgrade.
So you work here now. What's your title?
Customer Experience Manager.
Customer Experience Manager. How long have you been with us?
I've been here about 3 months.
3 months. And you've been an ambassador for?
A year and a half.
Yeah, 18 months or so.
Something like that.
And then before that, you were riding off and on, working in skate shops. What's sort of your experience with board sports from when you first started way back?
I started riding longboard Sector 9 when I was about 15, 16. I had somebody give me a board to go on a beach cruise, and they ended up just giving it to me because I had so much fun. They were like, you need to keep that. And pretty much ever since then, I was inseparable from a board. Mostly, I did a lot of commuting on it too. But mostly, just cruising to the beach and to work.
Cool. When was your first introduction to electric?
It was at a clinic for San Diego, one of the surf shops that I worked for. And we hosted clinics where we did product knowledge. I'm going to repeat myself, but product knowledge clinics, and Evolve was there. And I didn't know much about it. The only electric skateboard I had ever stood on was a boosted, because we also sold those. And we had a demo, and I tried it out a little bit for a second with a buddy, and I was like, oh, that's all right. Probably shouldn't say the name of. We had another electric skateboard company. And I was like, oh, that's all right. It's fun. It feels a little sketchy to me. And I didn't, even though we had that demo there, I never rode it. And other than that one time. And so when I showed up at the clinic, I showed up early and Alex was there sitting at the Evolve booth. And I was like, I've always wanted to try one, but we didn't have a demo. So he's like, oh, well, before everybody gets here, let's go take a ride down on the beach. And so he brought me down, and my first ride was on, I think it was a Bamboo GTR. A Bamboo GTX.
Either or.
Yeah, I think it was a Bamboo GTX. And it was all terrain. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. He brought me down to the boardwalk and he's like, okay, this is how you use the remote. You kind of want to ease into it. And it's normal for people to be a little wobbly at first. And I sit on the board and I just remember just busting up laughing as I was going. And honestly, it was amazing. It was like the best feeling I'd had since I was a little kid. It was the most fun I've had since I was a little kid. That little kid excitement feeling, Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, so it was instantaneous. I just fell in love with it. I started carving and I turned around and came back towards Alex and he's like, oh, do you mind if I put you on our Instagram stories that you tried that? And I was like, of course, that's awesome, and yeah, it was basically I became obsessed from that moment. That's all I could think about was that skateboard and that ride and trying to find out when I could get on one again.
And when was that?
The next time was Alex actually reached out to me when the GTR was launching, and he gave me a call and he's like, hey, you want to be in our GTR launch video? And I was like, yes, I do. So we planned that all out. It was probably 3 months out from when I tried it for the first time I rode the board, and he let me take home a Bamboo GTX to practice on. And we ended up going out to Death Valley, and that's where I got to meet you and Jeff. And as a new Evolve rider, it was amazing. Honestly, it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. But I knew from that moment, I think I even told you, I was like, I want to know how I can do more of this. I want to be involved. I want to keep being a part of this community and especially this company in whatever facet I could. So that led to, applying for this job a few times, honestly. So didn't necessarily get it on the first try, but it was worth it. And
yeah, well, fast forward, it's been 2.5 years since that shoot.
Yeah.
So it's a while, but it's not that long, and ambassador and working for us. Mm-hmm. So I'd say it came around all right.
Yeah. Persistence pays off.
Yeah. I remember when we were first discussing sort of what you wanted to do with electric skateboarding, sort of when we had the ambassadorship conversation, you were talking a lot about community and getting people involved, and especially women.
Yeah.
That's something that you're passionate about?
Yeah, that's something that I'm still really passionate about. It's something that I still want to make happen. Believe it or not, even just in the regular skating community, there's not that many women. But in the electric skateboarding community, take 30% off of that, or 90% off of that, and that's how many women are skating. Anytime I see another girl at a group skate, I'm like, oh my God, can we be best friends? Or, obviously not that dramatic, but, I just get so excited and I want them to feel a part of something like I do, and so I've always been a tomboy. So I've always hung out with guys mostly, and that comes with with skating and that lifestyle and everything. But it's something that I want to share with women specifically because it's so empowering, even more so than regular skateboarding. It's like the most empowering thing I've ever done. Being able to go 24 miles an hour in 10 seconds, like that's amazing.
What is it, do you think, that's like stopping the girls getting involved?
I mean, I assume that they're intimidated. That's what a lot of the girls that I know are telling me. I think that they just don't know where to start. So that's why we have the demos. We have, and that's really what, my goal is eventually. What I'd love to do is host like a girls beginner day, where just like a safe space where girls can come and skate. And
I think it's interesting and has a lot to do with the like region specific community as to how many girls get involved, and it has a bit of a snowball effect, because if you look at certain communities around the world, I know in our Gold Coast Australia community, there's a strong turnout of women.
yeah, it looks like it.
Honestly, probably 30% at the rides, maybe a little
awesome.
less, but like that's a lot compared to here in California.
Oh my gosh,
or
yeah.
even down in Melbourne.
It's literally me and one other girl most of the time.
Yeah, so I think it's like when there's more than just that one, it has, yeah, like I said, a snowball effect, and then they'll get their friends involved, or we get a lot of daughters getting involved, which is super cool, like dad daughters, and the wife gets one.
That, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then over in the UK, I know there's a strong turnout of girls that just skate by themselves, go for the group skates. So yes, I think being intimidated is like part of it, but once there's more girls showing that it's something that is easily done, and e-skating isn't that hard in comparison to like skating at a skate park, like a proper park thing. It's not that hard to jump on an all-terrain board. You got to get used to the trigger, but really after a day or two, you should be okay. And you don't have to go 30 miles an hour.
Yeah. And you don't have to do it, like you said, at a skate park in front of all of these guys that are waiting their turn, and, all that pressure's there. It's like you can do it in your driveway, which is amazing.
When you skate, how often do you find yourself skating with friends or just solo skating?
I'd say 90% of the time I'm skating by myself.
What's that for? Like, why do you do that?
Well, one, I commute. So I commute to work every day on my GTR. So that in itself is honestly really fun. Like, I'll have days where I'm just skating to work and I'm like, I'm skating to work right now. This is amazing.
How far is it?
It's about 9.5 miles, but there's a lot of hills.
Yeah. Solid skate?
Yeah, it's good. And, there's days where it's like a little sketchier than others with cars and stuff, depending on the traffic. But most of the time, we're lucky here in California. I don't know if you have this elsewhere, but we have bike lanes that we can ride in. So I have my whole lane to myself the whole way there, basically. So it makes for a nice ride. The rest of the time is just for me. Usually when I get home, I'll take out my Stoke just because it's fun to have something a little different, especially because I'm riding the GTR all day. And so my favorite thing to do, especially if I need to like blow off steam or if I've had a rough day, or honestly, just when I need alone time, I will just hop on my board. I'll put a couple earbuds in and play some fun music and just go to a bike path where there's no cars or anything, and I just shred back and forth as long as I feel like it, and until I feel like I'm ready to go home to my little box and chill out. But yeah, it's definitely my happy place.
That's something I've seen you speak about a couple times online, is sort of that the mindfulness state, looking after yourself sort of mentally, and using a board as something to do. Is that something that you like implement in your own life quite a bit now, and has that replaced something else that you used to do? Or
so most people that know me, I'm just kind of stoked on life. I have a lot of stoke. I love pretty much everything and everyone, and I have a lot of fun and just kind of enjoy myself, and I really enjoy the little things. So kind of one day, just out of nowhere, I woke up and just stopped feeling that way. I didn't know what it was, but I just was like terrified all the time. And so I kind of started to learn a little bit about it, and you hear anxiety here and there. 10 years ago, it's not talked about like it is now. I didn't really feel like I could talk to anybody about it. But you push through it, and but yeah, so then a few years suffering through that. It sounds so bad, but I really did, to be honest. Not really being able to talk about it. So a few years of kind of just being in the dark, while still maintaining that happy-go-lucky, just I love life persona, but just not necessarily getting to feel that myself. My dad died, and my store closed. I was the store manager, and my store closed, and my dad died in the same month. And so I didn't have a job, and I decided to take some time off, and that wasn't necessarily the best idea. So I took some time off, and not working and not being around people and then going through that grief was devastating. I'm sorry if this is too much, but it was devastating. And I basically just, again, while maintaining this persona that everything was fine, I just deteriorated. And I definitely found that drinking made me feel better, at least for a moment, so I would party, not necessarily with friends, sometimes by myself, but yeah, and it's just basically came down to I had actually, separate than that, I had a bike accident where I fell and I hit my head. I wasn't wearing a helmet. This is before I'm this huge advocate for helmets now. I actually fell and hit my head, and it caused memory loss, and I had seizures, and it was really scary. Honestly, it was for a little bit there. I would be doing something and I would forget what I was doing. And it really scared me. And I remember when I went to go see a neurologist, he said that basically he's like, with having a seizure, since it's actually kind of runs in my family, seizures. And so he was saying, even though you're not epileptic, now that you've had a seizure, basically he was saying, if you continue to drink, you could die. Basically, is like, okay, that's basically what
it's a big goal, isn't it?
Yeah. Which for me at the moment, like, think about it like severe social anxiety. I'm like, what am I going to do? Going out socially, like, that's what you do. You have a few drinks, it loosens you up, and you can have fun, So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But what ended up happening was I took that as an opportunity to reach out to my family. And I really just opened up to my sister specifically and was just like, hey, I'm suffering. I'm suffering with this anxiety, and it's hard to say that to people, like I said, it was about 5 years ago now. And think of all those years that I spent just hiding it and covering it up. And, but yeah, so 5 years ago, I reached out, my sister, my best friend, and my best friend at the time as well, went to the doctor's appointment with me, saw a therapist. We talked through a bunch of stuff. We built, we worked up a plan, and within a few months of that, from like 5 years of just suffering, in my, quietly, I would say, quietly suffering. I remember the first time I sat outside and I took my first full breath without anxiety. And as I breathed out, I could hear the birds singing. And it was amazing because I just realized, because I was just barely getting by for so long, that when I heard those birds, it was like the little things that I talked about that I always appreciated. I could see them again and I could feel them again. And I wasn't just consumed by, what am I doing? What are people thinking? Do I look weird? Do I sound weird? And I just, like, my life changed from that moment. And a few months later, I started working at San Diego. And honestly, it wasn't long after that I met Alex. And so it really does honestly kind of go hand in hand with, if you want to call it sobriety, you want to call it recovery. But, that's what worked for me. And, but yeah, the skateboards for sure is the thing. Like, when I'm itching and I'm just like, oh, I just want to freak out and I don't get to have a beer. I don't get to, I don't smoke weed. I quit smoking cigarettes. Like, I'm not that, like, I don't have those outlets that it feels like everybody else has, So when I feel like I'm going to like strangle my fiance, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go first skate. And sorry, Evan, I love you. But
Evan, buy her a Haitian for Christmas.
But yeah, I just, it's huge. Like, for mental health, I've heard, I really respect Caddy's perspective on that. And I love how much he talks about that. And it's huge for clearing your mind and getting out of your own head. And it can really save lives. I really think it can.
Like, honestly, thanks for sharing that, because we talk about it as much as we can, but it's great to hear.
I do notice that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. Like, it's one of those things where I feel like I have a responsibility in a way, having made it out of that. And I don't want to say made it out, because I still live with it every day. But to be able to do a podcast and sit here with you, if you would have told me I was doing that 5 years ago, I would have literally crawled into the covers and cried, just because, like, I would be so sad to miss out on it, but it would be so terrifying to think of doing something like that, I'd have to miss out.
From being socially anxious to sitting here with these cameras.
I know.
You've done so well. You've done so
okay.
well. No, it's amazing. And I can't tell you how many times we get inboxes with a similar story. And yeah, it's so great to see. And obviously they're like private messages. It's crazy to think someone would message a company to say, hey, your product has done this for me.
Yeah.
But it's similar stories to that. And yeah, it's just like so like fulfilling to see that. And we want to share it as much as we can, because I think people need to know that that's a possibility if they are in a situation like that. And I talk about it all the time. It's sort of like replacement therapy, like whether it's you're just working too much. It doesn't have to be deep, dark stuff, whether it's...
No, that's really what it was for a lot of the time, was just because I'm a workaholic.
Yeah, you just need that little break. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Look, moving on, eSKATE dreams. What is it that you'd love to see with yourself in your eSKATE world, career? I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you like to do in electric skateboarding in the coming years?
I'd love to get more women out there. That would be my primary focus, would be to get women together and not just, skating, but hanging out and having a good time in an open, safe space for us to talk about things like mental health or, family life, whatever, while we're shredding. One of the things I love about electric skateboarding is you can have a full-on deep, like, meaningful conversation especially because I ride goofy and most people ride regular. So we'll just literally be facing each other and we can just have this conversation while we're skating for 12 miles, which I think is amazing. You can't really do that I see people doing it when they're running and stuff, and it's like, you can't even breathe, but.
Yeah, that's the thing. At least it's a chill outlet.
Yeah, when you're just cruising on a skateboard, you can talk about anything, and it really, because it clears your mind, So it'd be cool to get more girls out doing that, and just showing them that it's easier than regular skateboarding, and just how empowering it is. And I just want to have fun. I want to build a community of that, and I know that they're out there. I know that there's women that are just like, I wish I could try that. We have demo boards. Like, come and try it. Come and hang out with me for 30 minutes. Try these boards. I guarantee that they're going to love it,
When I try and come up with things that we could do, I look to other sports, because eSkating is still grassroots. It's a brand new sport. And there's a lot to be said about what other sports are doing to get women involved. If you look at mountain bikes, motocross, snowboarding, they're all things that are more established. There's still a greater dominance of men in the sport, but they also have a strong women's scene. And you can tell they're working on that. There's they do whole women's weekends and clinics, or just all these different events. So we could definitely take a look at that and see what's possible. Yeah. Whether it's maybe a Saturday morning meetup and we take 6 boards down to wherever it is, Venice, or somewhere where the girls can get together, and it's a little bit better than just coming here for a half-hour skate.
Yeah.
All we can do is try all these things and see what girls are interested in.
Yeah.
So if you're a girl out there, or if you're a guy and you know a girl, try get her involved in electric skateboarding. That's pretty much going to do us on this one. So thanks so much for having a chat with us. Stoked to be doing it in this beautiful showroom.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And of course, go and follow her at
Jojo eSKATEs.
Jojo eSKATEs on Instagram. Link's going to be in the description. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.